Hi, welcome to the Feldenkrais Guild interview with Sabine and short Feldenkrais lesson. I'm talking to Sabine Blackaby, who trained with Ruthie Elon in Italy and has been a Feldenkrais teacher for 25 years. She works with adults and babies and children in Brighton. She's a Feldenkrais assistant trainer and works in the London and Sussex trainings. Hi, Sabine.
Good morning.
What brought you to Feldenkrais?
Well, I was a bit at a crossroad at that time, and I was looking for a career change. And I knew I wanted to do something with movement, but wasn't quite sure in which direction to go. And I was doing my shopping on a Saturday morning, and I picked up a flyer in a cheese shop, said Feldenkrais. I never heard of it, and I thought, well, it's something to do with movement. I go along. And I really loved that first session. I didn't have any difficulties in moving or restrictions at the time, but it still left me with a much nicer feeling of my movements and my breathing and the way I was. So I was smitten, and I was looking around for a training I could join, and there was one in Italy at the time. And I thought, yes, I'll start that training because it felt a bit like coming home. It was a language I understood. Growing up in Switzerland, we were often involved in movement in many ways, skiing, sledging, cycling, you name it. But I didn't like athletics so much. For me, I didn't really like the kind of strenuous and competitive element. But in that Feldenkrais lesson, I felt like, yes, this is a language I understand. So I trained in Italy.
Brilliant. And what is your favorite thing about the method?
I guess personally, my favorite thing is how it is linked to my own development. How doing Feldenkrais lessons helps me to feel better in myself, improves my movements, my breathing, the way I am in the world, but not through a cognitive process. It's very much a sensory process, listening to myself and noticing so many different nuances and details. I think also the way that we learn through curiosity and in a playful way.
Great. And is there a case study that comes to mind, someone who has been transformed by the method?
Well, I think of a young woman I worked with a while ago who was playing rugby. And even though she was tall, she was also slight. And she always ended up at the bottom of the pile and injured herself in many different ways. She also had a back problem. So she came to my classes and then to individual sessions and got better. Then she moved away to France and she sent me a nice letter saying she's now running a marathon, which is something she didn't think would be possible again.
Fantastic.
Working, another very rewarding situation is when I work with babies and they are sacked a little too early by well-meaning parents, they often get stuck there and can't find a way how to make transitions, how to come out of sitting, learning to crawl. So helping babies to make that transition can be very rewarding for the baby, for the parents, and for me to see.
Wonderful. So could you give us a short Feldenkrais lesson, please?
Yes, sure. Many lessons are explored lying on the floor in different orientations. And sometimes we also explore lessons, teach lessons in sitting and standing. So today it will be in sitting. So you would need a chair with a flat surface and no armrests. But please, to begin with, let's start in standing. Come into standing. And stand in a comfortable way, just the way you would stand at home, letting your arms hang, feeling the support from your feet and legs. And then begin to slide one hand and arm alongside one leg towards the knee, towards the floor on that side, and return. And a few times, slide, lengthen the same arm to the side, Keep your face forward, but let your head bend to the side so that your ear is following the movement of your shoulder and your arm. And stay in a comfortable range. Don't go too far. You just want to explore, how does it feel to bend to this side? Come back up to standing. And then slide your other hand and arm alongside the outside of your other leg, towards the knee, towards the floor there, and compare. How does it feel to bend to this side? Include your head, let your ear bend to the side. And maybe you feel one side is a little bit more available for that movement than the other side. If you're not sure, you could go to the first side again and see how is it different there. Great, let that be. And now come and sit on your chair. And sit to the front of your chair. Often in Feldenkrais lessons, actually always, mostly, we don't demonstrate movement. So we guide our students through the movements verbally so that you're learning from your own experience. Now, sitting at the front of your chair, begin to bend your head to one side. So you keep your nose and your face forward and you bend one ear towards one shoulder and come back up and do this a few times. So kind of tilting your head to one side. Breathe as you move and come back up to the middle. And now bend your head to the other side, letting your ear move towards the shoulder on that side and come back. And notice for yourself again, is there one side where that movement feels a little easier? And could it be that it's the same side where it was easier in standing to slide your hand and arm alongside the leg? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Return to the middle. And even if you see Alex doing the movements, it's not a demonstration. She does it in her own way, and you at home do it in your way. Now, bend your head again to the easier side, where it was a little bit easier to move your ear towards the shoulder and return. And as you repeat this a few times, notice what you do with your shoulder there. Does your shoulder stay quiet? Do you move it up? Do you move it down? Come back to the neutral position and allow this hand and arm to hang on your side. So I'm not referring to right and left because not everybody is bending the head more easily to the same side. But the side you were bending the head to the side, let this hand and arm now hang on the outside of the chair. You might need to come a little bit more forward. And keeping your face oriented forward, once again, bend your head sideways. And notice that your arm most likely will move towards the floor, that your shoulder will move down, and you're also transferring the weight more onto this side of your pelvis. As if, and again, you're bending the head to the side, you're letting the arm slide down, and feel how you're shifting your weight most likely onto this side of your pelvis. So the ribs on this side are folding in a little. Sense the movement of your chest. And then return back to the middle. Pause there for a moment. Place the hand that you were now lengthening towards the floor on the top of your head. So it's the same arm, yeah, on the top of the head. So your elbow is sticking out somewhere to the side. And allow your elbow and your head to move towards the floor on this side. Again, bending your head, bending your spine. And this time, shift your weight to the opposite side. So you're lightening the side of the pelvis you're bending to, but you're shifting the weight onto the opposite side of your pelvis, onto your other sitting bone. That's it. Slowly repeat this a few times. Notice how you're folding in on one side of your rib cage, but you're getting a little longer on the other side of your rib cage. Do you breathe in or do you breathe out as you tilt your head to the side? Notice also how you come back. When you return, how does the sitting bone that you were lightening get heavier on the floor again? And notice when you return, how you get longer again between this side of your pelvis and your shoulder. So what was bending first is now lengthening again. Let that be. Take your arm down, take a rest. And then place your other hand on top of your head. Again, your elbow is a little out to the side. Keep your nose and your face oriented forward and begin to move your head and your elbow towards this side, towards the floor on that side, bending sideways, coming back and staying in a comfortable range. So you don't have to disrupt your breathing. And allow yourself again to shift the weight of your pelvis to the other side. So that when your elbow is moving down to the floor on one side, you shift, and the head is moving that way, you shift the weight of your pelvis to the other side. Again, one side of your rib cage is folding in and bending, but the other side is getting longer. Keep your attention on the side that's getting longer and how the sitting bone there is getting heavier on the chair. Great, come back to the middle, release your hand and arm. Place your second hand on top of your head again. Come back, that's it. Place your second hand, that's it. And now turn your elbow and your head a little bit forward. And to the other side, just a little bit. And stay in this position, so you turned. And now bend your elbow and your head again sideways. Come back, do this a few times in this orientation. And notice maybe the movement now engages different ribs on the side that you're bending towards, but also on the other side. Or you might even shift your weight onto a slightly different place on the sitting bone that's gaining weight. Return again to the middle. Take your arm away. Place the same hand and arm again on top of your head. And this time, turn a little bit backwards with your elbow and your chest and your head, just a little bit. And stay in this turned position. And once again, move the elbow down towards the floor, bending your head and your spine sideways. And coming back up. And notice again, which ribs can you feel are moving? Does it engage again a slightly different place in the side that you're bending to, but also in the side that's getting longer? Or are you maybe shifting your weight again onto a different place on that sitting bone that's gaining weight? That's lovely. Come back to the middle, release your arm. And just notice for a moment how your pelvis is sitting on the chair there. How your spine is supporting your head, where your shoulders and arms feel. And then come back up into standing. And as we did in the beginning of this mini lesson, begin again to slide one hand and arm alongside one leg towards the floor, towards the knee, bending this way. And just see how that feels now. How able you are to bend to this side. How one side is shortening and one side is lengthening. Come back to the middle and then stay in the middle for a moment. And then bend to the other side, allowing your other hand and arm to lengthen. And feel how are you bending to this side now. And maybe the two sides feel less different. Maybe both sides feel a little bit more able to bend and lengthen and shorten, which is an element of walking and sitting and many other movements.
That was a beautiful lesson. Thank you so much, Sabine.
You're very welcome.
Very much that today. I have since actually tried that out with my stroke clients, and that's been amazing actually in terms of their ability to bend.
Okay.
So anyway,
Yes.
thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.